Okay, good. Okay, fantastic, DJ. Let's move forward. So we were checking US 500, right? And we know that we previously rejected this support zone and we traded higher. Let me check. Great. So we are currently above this 3.9 K, which is acting as a support zone, especially that we've got this previous high. So we might even retest it like this before we trade higher, but this area is a massive resistance zone, especially if we zoom into H4 time frame. We can see that this zone here is lining up with many rejection zones. First, we've got this upper brown trend line in brown from daily time frame of this big falling broadening wedge, which price has been respecting for a long period of time. That's first. Second, we've got the upper red trend line here acting as an overbought zone or a non-horizontal resistance, and the supply zone as we had an aggressive movement down from here, and this resistance zone support, resistance, and so on. So indeed, the 4.1K is a massive zone. The price will most probably respect it. Now, for how long or for how deep, we can't really know. We might reject it like for a little while and then break it up and trade higher, or we might form this big impulse movement to push price lower. But anyway, for now, let's take it step by step. We are bullish. We made an impulse, a correction, and we are currently in this impulse. We might see a correction movement, as mentioned before, we trade higher, or this impulse would keep on trading higher. How do we know? If and only if we break below this low. If we break below it, we will start the correction movement. It can last for a couple of days, couple of weeks before we trade higher again. Meanwhile, and until this happens, we can still trade higher from here to test this resistance zone, which I already explained or showed you from daily time frame. That's basically it. I can't really say much. That's it for US 500. If we move forward, we've got the XY. On the XY, finally, we can see some movements, right? So we rejected this upper bound, multiple rejections from here, and this is the arrow. We were looking for sell setups. Like I posted anyway, this one as well. If you search for the XY, you can find it right here. Okay, that we are currently around this resistance, and we are looking for sell setups around this area. Anyway, we're looking for buy stops here that didn't form, price kept moving lower and broke this support zone, which you can clearly see now. Okay, we traded lower, we broke below this support zone, so now it's acting as a resistance, lining up with this trend line, right? So now if we trade higher, this is a resistance zone. Especially even if you don't have a trend line or we don't have a resistance, if you remove everything, this is what the previous major low, right? Lining up with this high. So this entire zone like this is a very strong resistance zone. If we trade higher, we'll be expecting this movement downward. But finally, the good news is that we finally were able to break below a major low, because previously, let me get back my levels. So previously we had this correction, a very small one, a correction, one swing, while here we had multiple swings and then broke it downward. So this is no longer a correction. This is an impulse movement, especially after breaking below this low. So now we have a shift in momentum from bullish to bearish. So now every bullish movement would be a correction and every bearish movement would be an impulse, right? That's it for DXY. And from weekly time frame, we can see that this is indeed a very strong demand zone. Let me remove these ones to keep it clean. That's it. Okay, and this is a demand zone as we had an aggressive movement upward from here. If you zoom into daily, you can see it that it's lining up with this previous high, previously resistance, now broken upward, now acting as support. So are currently here retesting this area. For the bears to remain in control and to keep pushing lower, we need to see what's a break below the support zone below 105, which as you can clearly see is a very strong support zone for now. If you break it downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement from here, but for now, I'm expecting a correction. But how do we know that the correction is about to start? We zoom into lower time frames as usual. We zoom in, and we are currently trading where inside this like falling channel. We'll see it better when we zoom into H1 time frame. So let me give you a quick trick, which you can also find multiple times on Bitcoin charts, but let me give it to you here. So the trick is when we have a big bearish movement, okay, give me a second. Okay, when we have a big bearish movement and we have a rising correction, it would be what? A continuation setup. For example, a big impulse movement, bearish movement, and a consolidation rising one, it would be a continuation one. Okay, vice versa. When we have a big bearish movement and we have a falling correction, it would mean a reversal. That's it. Impulse movement, falling correction, it would mean a reversal. Okay. Of course, like we want to wait for this one to be broken, like to confirm it. In this case, we want to wait for this one to be broken to confirm it. Because we can't know that this one would end unless it's broken, right? The price can still trade lower and lower and lower. Okay. Let me show you multiple examples on Bitcoin chart. If you go to Bitcoin and go to weekly chart, okay, you know what? I'll open a new chart so that you can see it very clearly. So Coinbase, I don't have drawings. Yeah, I had previously. Let's delete it. Okay. Dear Morrison, hope you're doing good. Happy to see you here. And okay, great. Let's move forward. So let me give you this example on Bitcoin chart, monthly time frame. You can see how powerful this setup is and how it can help you know what to expect next. So we were bullish previously, and then we had what? A falling correction, which mean what? A continuation. Okay, so let me draw it here as a cheat sheet. So we are trading higher, a falling, and then impulse. We are trading higher, a rising, it would be a reversal, and vice versa. We are going lower, falling, reversal, going lower, rising, continuation. Okay, so this one is what? Is this one. And let me delete it here to keep these ones here. So impulse, falling, rising, and then impulse, rising correction, which is this one. And now we had a reversal. Next, we had the reversal. We had what? A falling movement. Impulse, falling movement would be what? A reversal, right? And then we had a bullish movement, a falling correction, which is where? This one, exactly. And then we had the impulse. And then what? We had the impulse, a rising correction, which is this one. And then we had what? A reversal. Okay. And you can check it out all over the place. Anyway, let's keep moving forward as the example. So if you go lower, rising correction, which is which one? To this one. And then an impulse. Now, okay, which is very interesting. Impulse, falling correction, right? Which would be what? This one here, a reversal. Okay, but again and again, we can't really know for how long it will last. As I showed you previously, for example, here it lasted for like a couple of months because of course this is weekly time frame. So here we got the once, the second month, and then 2 months and a half. Okay, here already we got 1 month, 2 months, and we are now in the third month. Okay, so but for this to be confirmed, just like this one, just like where else? No, this is the only example. We need to see a break above this previous high, which is for now the 20K. Okay, so very important stuff here. Like always keep an eye on it. Now let's move forward anyway. Like we were going over the analysis here, and then we went into educational section. So let's move. Let's get back to our analysis. For the XY, that's it. So yeah, like we were talking about this one, that we were bearish and then we had a falling correction. Previously bearish, rising correction, continuation, right? Anyway, so for now, how do we know the correction would start here? We need to see a break above this high. Once we see it, we'll be expecting a bullish movement, and then from this area, we'll be expecting a movement lower. Okay, because now we are bearish from a long-term perspective, and every bullish movement would be a correction, and then we'll be looking for the next impulse movement. But the good thing is, as mentioned previously, from a long-term perspective now, the bears took over on the XY. Let's move forward and get into our crypto, right? Meanwhile, if you have any questions during the session, feel free to write it down. If you are on Discord, let me know. If you are on Discord, let me know in the members talk. If you are on YouTube, feel free to comment it in the comment section. Now, let's move forward to our USDT dominance. Now, unfortunately, as you already know, last week we had the crash of FTX. We had this big bullish movement upward, breaking above this resistance zone, right? So this is weekly time frame, and we are currently here. Last week we had this bullish candle. Now we rejected this previous all-time high, which is around 9.5, right? We rejected this area and we traded lower again, but we are still around this resistance, now turned what? Turned support. So now we are expecting a movement higher from here unless the bears claim back this zone. In this case, if we have an aggressive break below it, then we'll be expecting this movement. Okay, this would be a whole fake out or at the end of this bullish trend, and then will be now bearish. But for now, we are still bullish. We broke above this resistance, now support. We're expecting a bullish movement from here. What we can expect is, as long as we are above this area, and like this is how like we feel the market before a reversal happens. How do we know? If we trade higher from here and fail to make a higher high, instead make a lower high, in this case, this would be a first indication that yes, this might be like the bulls are cooling down, and if we see this next, then we'll be expecting this movement. But if we see price going up and making a higher high, it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be a good sign. In this case, even if we trade lower, it would be a correction, and then we'll be trading higher and higher later on. Anyway, for now, let's take it step by step, as I always say. For now, we are here stuck around this support. We broke it upward, we rejected it once, and now we are rejecting it again, forming like a range. And also this low here previously is tested by this high. We can see it even better from H1 time frame. Now we are trading inside this channel or like rising broadening wedge, if you want to call it. And yeah, we're rejecting the lower bounds. If we break it downward, it wouldn't be enough. But if we break it down, it would be an indication that yes, the bears are trying to kick in. But for the bears to take full control, as mentioned from daily, I would like to see a break also below the 7.8, which was, if you want, around 7.85. This upper bound of this entire zone. I want to see a break below it, because now if you break simply below the 8, which is this one here, it might be a fake out, and we might push back inside the zone. That's it. And as we trade higher, around the 8.5 is a massive zone around this area here, starting from this zone. Okay, this entire area. Okay, we'll be looking for setups here, which would result from daily with a lower high. Okay, because like this one is the intersection of multiple rejections. I'll show you from H4, the upper orange trend line, upper blue trend line, and the 8.85. You can see it better if you zoom into H4. That's it. And if you want, you can make it appear on daily so that you can see the upper trend line in orange even better. That's it. Okay, so now from a shorter term perspective, we know that the bulls already took over by breaking above these highs. We traded higher, and now we are trading lower, but it's not enough, because we might still have this correction, and then the bulls can kick in and trade higher again.